Hello, and welcome to Take This TV, the television book club podcast, where each week we talk about an episode or two of our favorite shows with our friends in the fandom. Hello, friends in the fandom. Welcome. I'm Carmen Askerdes, and I'm joined as always by the wonderful Kimberly Woods. Hello.
Hello, hot potatoes.
This season we're watching Shogun.
Ooh, and today we are on episode 9. It's called Crimson Sky. Mariko arrives in Osaka for the fight of her life. Blackthorn and Yabushige scramble to save their own heads as their options dwindle. And this is your warning right now. If you are not caught up to episode 9, please pause, come back, and join us because there will be spoilers ahead.
Spoilers. Yarg. There be spoilers,
There will be spoilers ahead. So let's get into this one, Carmen. This was an intense episode.
Oh my gosh. The whole episode, I was on the edge of my seat, just like, please let Mariko make it out of here alive. I gotta say, after this episode ended, I feel like I've started to I was always on Toranaga's side, but now I'm kind of like, I don't know.
You ready to play your part, Mariko? It's kind of, and it's also just sad because it's like, I get it. She fulfilled her purpose. Like, Mariko has always been a character that talks about death and life kind of as the same thing. Like, when she was talking about earthquakes happen and, that's just part of life. And it feels like this is what she was meant to do. Her father left her alive for this purpose. Toranaga had given her another reason to live, to reclaim her purpose. So it seemed like it was going to be leading up to this, but at the same time, I still didn't want that to be the answer.
Yeah.
I didn't want it to be true. I wanted something else. And so it was really sad.
I love the pacing and the direction of this episode because there's so many moments where you think, oh, this is it. Mariko's going to bite it. But then she doesn't. And then it keeps you on the edge of your seat because I feel like we all were kind of under the impression of like, well, Hiramatsu died last time. There's only 2 episodes left. Mariko's going into the Viper's Nest. She's probably not going to make it. But I feel like they kept the tension up the whole time just by really smart choices with the blocking and editing and pacing of the story. And like when Mariko goes back to her room and someone opens the door, I was for sure it was going to be Yabushige like coming to assassinate her, but it was Blackthorn, and I was like, woo! I thought that was going to be it.
Oh my gosh. I loved getting to see her step into this role this episode. Like some of the scenes where she was standing up, to the council were some of my favorite scenes, where she got to say, I am the daughter of Akechi. I won't be confined or be held captive. And like sending a message just in her stance. And so much so that, afterwards Yabushige and and Blackthorn are like, what's going on? What does he have? What does Toranaga have planned? Like, let me know. But just seeing how powerful she was in those moments and how unflinching she was and taking on this like effort in this role was really, really cool. And Anna Sawai is an amazing actress, so it was so much fun to watch.
Oh, she was so powerful, not just in this episode, but in the whole show. She's definitely been one of the best parts of it. And that scene where she defies Ishido in front of everyone, I love it so much. I mean, like, it was such a powerful moment because we've seen her be so reserved, keep her up her 8-fold fence, be really polite the whole time. And I feel like she still was very polite. She was just very much like following the etiquette and the rules to a T.
Yeah.
Like, and to a point where she's being defiant. And I love that because it's like she doesn't sacrifice who she is, but at the same time, she's doing what needs to be done for herself and also for her plan with Lord Toranaga. I thought that was powerful.
And in true Bard fashion, she gets to say a poem because when she's talking to the council, Ochiba is there, and this is the first time they've seen each other in decades. And Ochiba is remembering fondly how they used to have these poetry battles and has asked Mariko to, say the first line of a poem. And Mariko, because she's not going to stay around, is like, here's the first line right now. And she says, while the snow remains veiled in the haze of cold evening, a leafless branch, which is referring directly to Ochiba, which means fallen leaves. And so I love that that was kind of like a hidden message in a way for like seeing Ochiba. And it's like during this whole episode, these two friends who loved each other and comforted each other amidst the battles of their fathers are now like trying to get the other one to like fold in a way, because it's like, you know, Mariko's doing all these things and she's like, Ochiba, you can stop it, and Ochiba's like, I don't have power, which I was kind of surprised by. But it points out again, like Mariko was saying, she might just be most fearful about her son, and it's not about Toranaga necessarily, but just that fact that they were trying to like play the game and outplay each other and hoping maybe one of them would like not go all the way to the edge.
Yeah. I love the scene where they finally have a moment to talk alone. Blackthorn is there as Mariko's cover, and she's like, she's invited us here so that we could let us speak or whatever to Blackthorn. And what I love the most about that scene is that, like, I think that is really rare in a lot of shows where we have moments where characters are like really vulnerable and honest about like caring about one another. And I love that we really see that like Ochiba loves Mariko, like a sister. Mariba, like
in
she
my mind,
loves
it's still a
her.
little ship, though. I think it might be more than a sister. She said, "You were my happiness." And
Oh
so
damn! You know what?
I'm still having the little like that might be her secret heart in this world.
I'm on the Mariba train. And I love that they have this moment together, and like we get to see how much that they mean for each other. And like we've seen Lady Ochiba play the game just like Lord Toranaga since she first came onto the show, and now we get this moment to see this other side of her, and I feel like more of her true self. And it's interesting that she makes a plea to Mariko to like let this go. And then Mariko tells her that like you have the power to stop this right now, because she knows that Ishido is like, you know, a pawn for Ochiba. And yeah, I feel like I wonder, because we have that scene with the council and Lady Ochiba kind of breaks it down for them about like, well, if you let Mariko live, and this is what happens if she dies, this is what happens. And I feel like bringing in the shinobi was something that maybe Ishido did on the sly on his own. Do you think that Lady Ochiba was involved in that, or do you think that was like an Ishido
I feel like that was kind of his move. Yeah. I really wanted during that scene for there to be some sort of out. Like maybe this is where Ochiba, you know, a lot like allies herself with Toranaga, or I don't know, something like maybe she can flip sides here. Like maybe this is our last hope, like this moment with these two friends. And then when it doesn't happen, it's just like, okay, nope, she's going to be true to her promise. She's gonna, you know, commit suicide by sunset. Speaking of which, that scene where she goes towards the gates was another one of my favorite scenes.
Oh wow.
It's so badass.
So incredible.
She's fighting, well, her guys are fighting their way first, and then they all fall, and then Mariko takes up the spear herself and starts taking some guys down, until at some point she can't get through them. And I feel like it's like what she says, like, I can't get past all these men, is such a poignant, like, you know, statement. First of all, in that sort of time, the role of women during that time, and just like, it's just frustrating, right? Because we have Mariko, who's so powerful, and Ochiba, who should be running things, and they're surrounded by all these guys in the middle of the wars that they've started. It just, Carmen, I don't know.
Yeah.
It
Well, I mean, I
just
also
says so
love
much.
like I love that Mariko, she tells Blackthorn, first of all, she's like, don't interfere. Like just stay out of this. And I love that we have that moment where it seems like because all of her troops have been killed, that she's lost, there's no hope left. And then when she's fighting herself, like we've never seen her openly display her combat skills before. And so just like seeing her fight in front of everybody, just like pulling her full self on display like that, I thought was such a powerful moment because I mean, this whole episode really feels like Mask Off for Mariko, which is so wild because she's been so covert this whole time. But I love that, like, I love these kind of stories where we see the cost of like doing the right thing and heroism, because unfortunately in the real world we kill heroes, and I think that like even the people that she was with, they all knew that they were going to die, but they face it with bravery. And I feel like Mariko fully knew that like this could be the end of her life, and we've always seen her like face that with bravery and with resolve. So I thought that was a really powerful sequence, and I loved it.
Mm-hmm. I loved Ochiba watching under the cover of like peeking down. I was like, I felt in a way that again, I was hoping Ochiba would maybe take something from that statement and claim her power more. I mean, we'll see. We'll see what happens now. That, especially like if it was Ishido's decision to send his men at the end, and it wasn't necessarily Ochiba running that, like maybe she'll see. Maybe that will be enough for her to see, or maybe something will get through to her.
We'll see. I mean, I'm curious. There's only one episode left, so I'm like, what is gonna happen? I don't know.
Can I also say another one of my favorite parts of this episode was when it comes down to the line. Sunset is happening. Mariko is prepared to commit suicide. She's supposed to be being seconded by Kiyama, who then suddenly like doesn't show up. And at first I was like, okay, does Yabushige have something to do with this? Because right before he had just been like speaking with one of Ishido's men who was like, okay, Ishido has a deal for you. We'll spare your life. So, there's nobody to second her. Nobody's stepping up to second her. And it looks like she's still going to just have to do this by herself without anybody like there to back her up. And then Anjin steps up and is willing to do it for her and says, I've already seen hell. You just keep it from your mind. It's okay. The fact that she had been living with a husband who was forcing her to live, and indeed, in that sense, wasn't even letting her live. And then to have this guy who's like, I see you, I'm here for your plan. If this is what you want, I'm all for it. Like, I'm not going to keep that from you. Was a nice, like, full circle moment.
That moment absolutely wrecked me. I was wrecked in that moment because I was like, I couldn't, man. Honestly, if I was Blackthorn, I'd be like, I'm going to colonize this whole fucking country. I'm going to go back to my queen and get a bunch of ships, and I'm killing everybody. Like, if you kill my lady, like, everybody's going to die. I'm sorry. But I think that, like, we see Blackthorn truly express his love for her in that moment because he knows what this means to her. And we do have the scene prior to this where he tries to convince her not to go through with it, and he tells her that if you don't want to live for anything else, will you live for me? And I was like, oh, my heart, Marithorn.
I was like, Blackthorn, at this point, she's already been confronted by her son and, told him she was still going to do it. So not going to change for you.
No, I fully forgot she had a son also. I'm not going to lie.
He was like, you won't be my mom anymore. It's like, ooh, you're taking too much after your father.
Oh my gosh. If I would have said something like that to my mom, she would have slapped the black off me. I would have like, what? What, boy? But yeah, no, he was definitely been influenced by being around Ishido and like being around those people. So I thought it was pretty intense that he was there when Mariko was about to commit suicide. And I was like, dang, he has to watch his mom do that? Like, that's intense.
But they took us up into that moment where they shut the screen. And then finally, Ishido charges in and claims, fine, I'll give you the permits to leave.
As soon as he said that, and then all the other people were like, what about us? What about us?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, just apply for a permit and it's fine. Nobody's a prisoner here. You disrespect the Lord's hospitality. And I was like, liar. He's such a liar. And they should have known. I was like, he's up to something, man. But yeah, it feels like a small victory for our crew.
Yeah. I was so happy at that moment. And then I was like, and now pillow?
Now pillow.
And of course they didn't get the pillow. So at least they got one last pillow.
One last night together. I also like Blackthorn offers his hand to Mariko in front of everybody, and she accepts it to help her up.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like it's been like everybody's been like, ooh, what's happening? But I feel like at this point they were just kind of like, look, it's all out there. And I mean, they come out of the room together when the attack happens. So this was also the first time when they get attacked that we see Blackthorn fire his pistol. And I was like, I don't know anything about ancient weaponry, but what kind of pistol is that? And we see him like trying to reload it, and I was like, oh, you might as well pick up a sword. That's like,
yeah, he starts. I think he whacks somebody with it at some point.
He's like using it like a bat. Yeah.
It was interesting too that we got a glimpse a little bit more into Mariko's relationship with religion and Catholicism, because in the beginning of the episode we get a flashback and we kind of learn that she's been trying to run away from home. Like, this is the third time she's been running away from home in the snow and wants to kill herself. And then she meets Alvito and he kind of gives her the cross to hold on to for the times when she doesn't have words. And so it's like the fact that she does take comfort in that. Because sometimes I wasn't sure. It was like, is she having a secret heart where she doesn't really believe in this? But it seems like, yes, like it did get her through some of those dark times. And here at the end, when she's about to commit suicide and she has to give up the cross, it seems like a big moment for her.
Yeah. And she does have that final prayer with Martine, with Alvito. And he's like, Lady Maria, let me pray for you. I don't like that guy. He's always calling her Lady Maria and stuff. And I'm like, bro, you speak the language. Call her Mariko. So, the colonizer. But anyway, she prays with him. And I think that, like, I love the like strategy that they have and like trying to force the division between Ishido and some of the other council members by getting the church involved with like Mariko essentially condemning her soul if she commits suicide because she's a Christian. So I thought that was a really, really interesting thing. And then our boy Yabushige.
Yabushige, I was so angry at him.
The whole time, Yabushige's been kind of like the lovable fool to us the whole time.
Yeah.
He crossed the line this episode, though.
He did. There's no going back. He has to die now for his sins.
He does. And I mean, like, I feel like the whole time, Toranaga's kind of let Yabushige know that, like, we're on to you. And it feels like, you know, sort of the like, tale as old as time of, like, these kind of loose end, like, kind of, like, dodgy characters, and they kind of get overlooked by whoever the hero is, and it ends up costing them. So, Yabushige lets the shinobi in, and they start like killing everybody, which like absolutely wild. And in the end, when they're like in that safe house, and Blackthorn is trying to get Yabushige to help him block the door, and he won't do it. I was like, come on, Blackthorn. That's weird, man. Like, that's weird, right? But I don't know if he picked up that Yabushige was in on it.
I'm sure he will. Yabushige is not a good liar.
Yeah.
I think he'll show himself in some way. They'll see through him.
And,
but Mariko in true fashion was like, I'm going to use this death as a protest against Ishido and everybody here who's going to die. We'll see what this death means. So she's still, in a way, is using her death to kind of stoke this revolution.
Oh, Mariko becoming a martyr. I was like, I like, oh, man. In my head, when Blackthorn was like, get away from the door, I was like, what's going to happen?
Yeah, me too. I was like, what's going
fully
on?
forgot about the cannons or whatever. And then when the door blows up, I literally was screaming like, "Oh my god!" So I was like, maybe she's okay. Maybe she's just hurt. So I don't know. We'll see. But it is not looking good, honestly.
No, it's really sad. And also, it's like, I was wondering, let's say this didn't happen and they got the permits and got to go back to Toranaga. Then what would happen as far as narrative? It's like, I feel like this kind of needed to happen in some way in order for this war. So now he has reason to like attack because, you know, it's clear that Ishido was holding people captive and violating, laws or whatever.
Oh,
He needs
man.
a reason to attack.
I feel like Toranaga's whole deal of like, I don't want to burn the city to the ground, destroy everything we build. I don't want innocent people to die. It's like so many people have died. Like all of those soldiers that died that were protecting Mariko, do their lives not matter? Like, does Mariko's life not matter? Does your best friend's life not matter? Like, I feel like that's why I said I feel like I'm not. I don't know if I'm fully on Toranaga's side anymore because I'm like, dude, just kill the people who need to die. Like, just do it. You have the power to do it. Kill your brother. Kill all these other people.
Do you still think he's Ned Stark?
No. I feel like he's. Like more of like a Daenerys now. Which
Dracarys.
Just like, yeah, like she should just burn the whole city down. Everyone's like, oh, what about the people? We'll put up murals later for them. Like, kill the people who need killing. But anyway, I don't know. We'll see what happens. We'll see what
happens.
I mean, what happens to Blackthorn now? Because she was his translator, so it's like he's
gonna rage.
I hope so.
Now he can rage down.
Come on, Blackthorn.
Come on, Blackthorn. Yeah. He's got to find his purpose now. What's it going to be?
Is he going to join the church? Are he and Martine going to team up?
I don't know. Oh my God.
See. But, I mean, I still love this show. See. This episode was devastating, but I love it. It was
devastating. And what about that other line, Carmen? Death is not surrender. Flowers are only flowers because they fall.
So beautiful. When she said that, I was like, it's a wrap. You can't have a character say something like that and then not die. Like, was she going to say something like that and then live? And then the next episode, she like catches a stray arrow. It's like, no, she has to die. Yeah. It was beautiful, though.
It was beautiful. She was a beautiful flower. I'm sad she's gone. Maybe Crimson Sky!
Crimson Sky!
Oh, I wish there wasn't just one episode because I could just watch the show forever.
It's great.
It's really great. Well, thank you all so much for joining us. Don't forget, we're at Take This TV on TikTok and Instagram. Leave us a comment. We're also on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you get your podcasts. So leave us a review. And remember, it's dangerous to watch TV alone.